Hello from MWC 2025. I'm here together with Max Cuvillier-Giacomelli, Head of Mobile Development at GSMA. Hello, Max. Nice to meet you again.
Yeah, again.
Another MWC.
And a better one.
What's new for Africa at MWC 25? I saw a lot of ministers here, a lot of stuff's going on, the ministerial program. Can you share a bit?
Yeah, I mean, we're always trying to be as close as possible to the latest development, both on the regulation side, but also on the business side. I think what's top of mind this year is AI. I mean, you're seeing AI everywhere, but I think what's important in Africa in particular is just how to make AI work for Africa, how to make AI originate from Africa, and also how to make sure that it is safer and that Africa is a driver of AI as opposed to just a follower. I think that's probably what's really new on the agenda.
So you see AI as a real accelerator for Africa?
Yeah, we see it in many different ways. Where we're seeing the startups that we work with are starting to integrate AI. We work with Crop to Cash in Nigeria, for instance. They built a Gen AI around agro advisory services, have already replicated it to Kenya. So we see it as a real accelerator. We see mobile operators working on LLMs, large language models, in local languages to help with their customer service, for instance, a lot of different applications of AI. And I like this type of AI because it's not about my AI is faster, my AI is bigger. It's my AI is solving problems.
It's about the use case.
Sorry? Yeah, a lot. That's it. Absolutely about the problems you're trying to solve on the ground.
So you just mentioned startups. So if you look at Africa, it's a mobile-first continent, where the mobile sector is one of the biggest economic driver on the continent.
Absolutely.
So, but on the other side, startups are also building the foundation of the future economy, what we're trying to achieve in Africa, especially from a digital transformation process. What would you say, as of today, are the biggest challenges for startups in Africa?
I mean, in Africa and everywhere else, one of the biggest challenges today is raising funding. Yeah. I think there's been a lot of investors just waiting to see how things play out and have been waiting for the past 2 or 3 years. So that's an issue. Generally speaking, where there could be more done is on replication to new markets. I think we're seeing a lot of startups do really well in their market, grow, but then replicating to another market, whether it's due to regulation constraints or different environments and so on. I think that's slowing things down a little bit, and that's maybe also slowing access to capital, because when there's something really good happening in Ghana, but could it be happening tomorrow in Nigeria or replicated to Senegal? Yeah. The question is not always easy to answer.
Where do you see the strongest markets in terms of startups? The most impressive developments?
It's hard to pick one. In terms of volumes, it is the big four. Yeah. It is Egypt, Kenya, Nigeria, South Africa. But we're seeing good levels of activity coming out, for instance, from Tanzania, Uganda, or Côte d'Ivoire, Senegal, Tunisia as well, Morocco. But I'm personally more interested in what were seen until recently as tier 2 markets also developing their own ecosystem, because there are many challenges to be solved, but there's also a lot of talent everywhere. So just to see capital not just going to 4 points, but to more and more markets, developing new ecosystems, I think this is what excites me the most.
So in your role, in your department, if you look at Africa, what makes you exciting for the next 3 years?
Everything makes me excited, because what I really see in Africa is where we're seeing the continent go very quick in terms of integrating innovation, integrating digital into areas that today are still pretty much analog. Yeah. We're doing research at the moment on the blue economy, for instance, or we're doing research on regenerative agriculture or carbon markets. And there is a lot of incentive, a lot of talent, and a lot of experience in bringing digital in a nimble way into new spaces. That just makes me think that a lot of solutions that are going to be applicable to Africa and important for Africa, but also to other regions, can really originate there. There's a lot of innovation created very close to the communities, answering really specific needs in ways that are cost efficient, fast moving, and so on. That just give me a lot of hope.
So last year we had a brief conversation about the usage gap and the connectivity gap in Africa. So if you see for the last 12 months, are you more optimistic that we close this digital divide on the continent?
I am optimistic. I mean, I wouldn't be in this line of work otherwise. I'm most optimistic mostly because we're seeing a lot of activity from a variety of players. Mobile operators are more and more committed to addressing the usage gap, like with very large digital skills campaign, like MTN's now deploy content to more than 30 million people, but also the needle is starting to move on handset financing, which is like obviously access to handsets, remains a really big issue for a lot of populations. I was talking earlier about smallholder farmers, for instance, or women. And here we're seeing like a big coalition of players between like banks, mobile operators, multilateral banks, the World Bank, and so on, working on this topic. So that gives me hope. On the gender side as well, we're seeing a lot more commitments from players. Like we announced last year, we're working with Ethiotel in Ethiopia, for instance, and like new players coming and realizing that addressing gender in particular is not only the right thing to do, but is also the right thing to do for business.
All right. Thank you very much. It was very insightful. Thanks for your time. That was Tech Africa News from MWC 2025. You can find more on techafricanews.com.